To begin, we're going to grease and flour 2 loaf pans. This is going to make 2 loaves in this recipe. If you want one, just have it. We're going to use a zucchini about this big. I'm going to wash it. I am not going to peel it, but I'm going to grate it. I am also going to remove the seeds that are inside. We need 3 cups of shredded zucchini. And I did cut off the ends and the not so pretty peel, but I'm leaving the rest. So that was just scarring. It's not necessary to take it off. To remove the seeds, I just took a knife and went in a circle, and we'll just get this pushed through. Actually, I can't get it pushed through. So we'll just go on the other side, make a circle in where the seeds are, and easily remove the seeds. There you go. So you don't want these in your zucchini bread. So we're going to get a large mixing bowl, and instead of using oil, I'm going to use applesauce. This is homemade applesauce, so it's kind of brown, and this does not have any sweet flavor to it. So if you're using a store-bought applesauce, I would suggest that you test it first to see how sweet it is. If it's sweet, then you want to delete some of the sugar by, just maybe 1/3 of a cup you want to delete of sugar. Okay, so we've got our applesauce in there, and it does have cinnamon in there, so that's a little added ingredient. We're going to put our eggs in. I had 4 large eggs, and I've got 1 1/3 cup of sugar. So like I said, if you had sweetener in your applesauce, you want to eliminate at least 1/3 of that sugar. Okay, and we need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and I believe I said that we were making 2 loaves. So you would just have this recipe in half if you only want to make 1. Yeah, I did say that. Okay, and we are going to use a sourdough discard. I have 1/2 cup of sourdough discard. And we're just going to put that in. I keep my discard in the fridge. So this is going to give it a little extra tang because it's sour. Gotta try all these different flavors. And then we're just going to mix it with a wooden spoon in our bowl. Just get everything combined. And that applesauce lended us a nice brown coloring. Then we're going to get out a smaller bowl, and we will add our dry ingredients to the smaller bowl. To our medium-sized bowl, we have 2 cups of flour that's been sifted. I have 1 cup of Dutch cocoa. This is unsweetened cocoa. You don't want to use the sweetened kind. I have 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. And we're just going to get those added in, and we'll get this whisked up. And we want to get all the chunks of that cocoa broken down as much as possible. Got a lovely brown color coming out here. Get that cocoa broke up as best we can. Alright, so I want to show you I've got chunks of cocoa in my flour, and it's not going well. So I took a strainer, and I'm just got another bowl, and I'm putting my mixture in here, and just using a spoon, and it goes really easy, and you can very easily declump your cocoa. This is also good to do with cornstarch. This is good to do with powdered sugar. So if you ever run into this, you know what to do. And there we have it. A few clumps that we're going to get rid of. Now I did go ahead and use my little whisker to just kind of stir up the egg mixture a little bit better. I just don't care for those clumps of egg hanging in there. All right, and you're going to want to turn your oven on to, let's see, well, that's a good question. Bake it at 350. All right, we're going to take our dry ingredients and we're going to put it in with our wet ingredients, and we're just going to get this all mixed up by hand. And we'll be adding our zucchini to this once it's mixed up. We're also going to be adding some dark chocolate mocha chips. These are actually chocolate espresso, and this is Lily's brand, which I enjoy using. So we'll get this mixed up nice, and then we'll fold in that zucchini. This is a great way to disguise zucchini. This is a great way to use up a lot of zucchini. And hey, it might not be the best for you, but it'll be a lot healthier than not, especially with using the applesauce as an oil, as a replacement for oil, and that should add a lot of flavor. Okay, we want to make sure all this flour gets mixed in, and then we can add in our other ingredients. And it does get a little bit thick, so you just want to make sure that the bottom doesn't have any wet flour. Okay, but it's looking beautiful. Let's add in that, and we're just going to fold it in. Don't worry, my hands are clean. And I didn't drain any of the water out of here. That'll add moisture to our bread. We're going to be making a unique topping, and that will be using walnuts and cream cheese, so this will need to be refrigerated. It wouldn't be sitting out on your counter, and a little bit of powdered sugar to that, and we will adjust it as we go when we get into making that part of the recipe. We want to add about a cup of our chocolate chips, actually the espresso. So you could have added a little bit of instant coffee to this recipe, but I chose to do the chocolate chips with the coffee in there. So we want a cup. I've got a third measurement here, and we're just going to put that all together. And it doesn't use up a whole bag, so that's good. Just get it, hold it in. All right. Then you want to get out your baking pans that were greased and lightly floured, and we'll get this in there. It looks beautiful. So I was thinking about maybe I was going to add some peanut butter chips to my bread, but instead I used the espresso chocolate. So just know that instead of chocolate chips, you could put in some peanut butter chips for something different. Now, if you follow any of my videos, I usually try to cook in my sun oven because it's just so hot. So you can cook it in your regular oven, like I said. So let's get this separated. We'll just kind of eyeball that. You can always add more. Kind of make it even so it cooks well. So you want to cook this for 65 minutes. Now, because we've got chips in there, you might get a false reading. So you want to see if the bread comes away from the pan, then you know it's done. You can also stick a thermometer in there, and once it reaches 200 degrees, well, then you know that your bread is done. I'll finish getting this scraped out, and we'll get it into my sun oven. Well, I just got them into the oven, and the sun decides to go behind a cloud. But it's about 270, and once the sun comes back out, it'll heat back up. I know that this is going to cook for at least 2 hours, so that's what it takes, and that's fine by me. Well, it looks like rain, so let's take her inside. And this is what it looks like so far, and it's been in there probably an hour. So we'll just bring it in and start cooking in there. So I got out my coffee grinder, herb grinder, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to add some walnuts to this. And we are going to make a walnut, cream cheese, and a small amount of powdered sugar topping for our bread. Let's get this ground up. Well, my coffee grinder just isn't going to do the trick. So I've got this other kind of grinder, and we're going to add it to this. For some reason it's getting pretty soft in the bottom here, and it's not working. So I'm going to add in a better amount and put this back together and get this going instead. And this is what it looks like. All right. I went ahead and sifted about a half of a cup only of powdered sugar. And I don't think I'm going to be adding all of this, but I'm going to add some of the walnut to this. I've got my, I'm going to add the cream cheese, and I've got that getting soft. I'm kind of warming it up a little bit, and we'll see what kind of consistency we can get with this mixture. For the most part, the cream cheese is softened up. Oh yes, very nice. Now that was only about 3 ounces. I think we're going to have to go maybe have a little bit more, but we'll see how well this gets in. And only part of that was soft, so it's going to be a little bit yet. But we're just going to let this sit and warm up a little bit longer. All right, warmed up and mixed. I'm going to give it a taste test and see if we need something else in it. Maybe more sugar, maybe more cream cheese. That's pretty darn good, just the way it is. I think we're going to leave it just like this. They're just going to spread this on top of the loaf. And the walnuts in there adds a nice nuttiness to our zucchini bread. And there's just enough sweetener, and the cream cheese, perfect. All right, just a little FYI. This is walnut butter that I had made previously, and it is so good. But I did skip one thing to make walnut butter. You want to take your walnuts and put them in like a toaster oven and just toast them for like 10 minutes, get them all toasty. Then you want to crunch them up. So this will still be good. I can still taste the walnuts in there. It'll still be yummy, but just in case you're wondering, you do want to roast them first and then grind them up. All right, and this is what they look like. They are nice and cooked all the way through. I did do the thermometer at 200 degrees. So we're going to let them cool for about a half hour, and then we will put the topping on. Let's put some of this on. Don't need much. I think the peanuts in with the chocolate will kind of like a, oh, you know, peanut butter and chocolate together. But it's really not peanut butter, it is walnut butter. Alright, we'll get the rest of this on, and then we will do a taste test. So I waited about a half hour before I put the top on. I'm going to try to go around the pan a little bit to get this out. You can see the looks moist, but I think that is the chips in there. The looks of it reminds me of German chocolate cake. The edges remind me of a brownie. The inside reminds me of a cake. It is so moist. And that cream cheese with the walnuts and a little bit of powdered sugar. Fabulous. Don't need much sweets on top. Very decadent. So tender. You'd never guess that there is a vegetable in here, like zucchini. So I'm wondering if the applesauce really made it even more moist. I think it did. My oh my. It is fabulous. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.